of this football season. Not sure how many of you got to listen to the Green Bay Football postgame show powered by Lakeland University. But I was in here along with Josh Albrecht, and he was filling in for Tommy Wirtz. And I was under siege for 3 hours. For 3 hours, you Packer fans wanted to come at me for continuously telling you, man, Ian Rappaport said regardless of outcome, it did not matter. They were extending Matt LaFleur. And for 3 hours, you all called me names, thought I was crazy. How could they possibly do that? They're going to lose the fan base. Guess what? They're working on extending Matt LaFleur now, aren't they? We'll get more to that. But there is a poll question up right now at WI Sports Radio on X. How long of an extension would you offer Matt LaFleur? You have 3 questions or 3 answers in that poll question. Answer 1, 1 year. Answer 2, 2 years. And answer 3 is 3 years. I'll tell you which way I'd vote coming up at 3 o'clock when we get more into this. But we have a jam-packed show today. Mike Wahle, former Packers offensive lineman. He'll join us coming up in the second segment at 2:20. Peter Buksowski from Locked On Packers and the Leap newsletter. He joins us at 3:20. The Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown's all kinds of fired up. He's on coming up today at 4 o'clock. And then if you missed our announcement from earlier today on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, the franchise, Tim Allen, returns. Homecoming complete as him and Tommy Wirtz will be hosting Hot Stove Weekly. Wednesdays, I should say. Wednesdays from 5 until 7. The first show, just 2 days away, Wednesday night, 5 o'clock. You'll hear both of those guys. That's through March 25th. Then the regular season starts. And then we will have the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz as well after each and every Brewers game all season long when it's done. And it will be on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, not just in Milwaukee or southeastern Wisconsin. All the stations along the network will have the opportunity to carry the post-game show, whether you be in Wausau or Duluth or Superior and you're a Brewers fan and want some post-game show action. Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz will have it for you. Green Bay, WNFL will have it for you there too. Now, obviously, in some situations, maybe they carry the Brewers games, so maybe they won't be able to carry us. In other situations, maybe there'll be some other conflicts that they won't be able to carry every one of our post-game shows. But either way, they're able to carry it. I'm sure they will. So make sure to tune in along the network for the post-game show throughout the year. So Tim Allen will join us and Tommy Wirtz, the new duo, will join us coming up at 4:40 towards the end of the show. So that gives you an idea of what's going on with the show. I'm going to let you just vent and be mad at the world like you were on Saturday night, like most of you still are at this point. If you'd like to hop in and be mad, feel free. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Streaming live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. I want to play this to start, please. Just let me have this. Matthew Golden had a game over 80 yards receiving, had a touchdown in this game. That is something to be happy about. That is something to be positive about in this game. There's not much when you lose to the Bears in the playoffs that you can get super excited about, right? The kicking situation. Missed field goal after missed field goal, missed extra point. Yes. Nothing to be super excited about there with Brandon McManus. Not quite sure Brandon McManus will have a job or not. But I will just point something out. That man had hit 13 field goals in a row going into that game. Okay? He missed field goals during the season when he was hurt and should never have been on the football field to begin with at that point. Charlie would testify to that being true. But he kept going out there because Matt LaFleur doesn't know how to say no to anybody. Josh Jacobs tells Bisaccia, hey, I want to return kicks. Bisaccia goes to LaFleur. LaFleur's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. No, we're not going to do that. Okay. Then Josh Jacobs walks into LaFleur's office or goes up to LaFleur, goes, hey, dog, I want to return kicks. You sure? Yeah. All right, you return kicks. What is going? See, again, I'll defend Matt when he needs to be defended, and I'll rip Matt when he needs to be ripped. But that's the type of stuff that drives me nuts. Like, no, he's not returning kicks. Then the player walks up to you and you fold like a cheap tent. Now, did he return the kick well? Yeah, he did a great job with it. Not saying no to that. But does he stay firm on anything against any player? Or does every player get what they want in this deal?
Injuries, I understand to some degree why you would listen to the player a little bit. Again, it's his body. He knows how he feels. Okay, fine. You can get his input. This is game planning. This is stuff where you need Josh Jacobs on the field, no matter how ineffective he was in the second half, which I honestly completely blame on Matt LaFleur and his run game design. It all just seems so basic and just so uninspiring that a team like the Bears could figure it out in the second half right away. To let him go out there and return kicks, and I get it, you wanted some kind of extra boost or something in that special teams. Yeah, he had a great return. He also fumbled the ball on that return too. And they got lucky that Kaiton Oladapo is right there to slide in and grab the ball, because that should have been one of 3 fumbles that the Bears should have picked up, and they didn't. This is all just really, again, seems like you're letting the inmates run the prison when none of these inmates want to run the prison. None of these guys want to have to go out there and do that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about all that, man. Like, I think there are a lot of players that want to run the team and have say and do what they want to do. I think a lot of guys would love to have say in all this stuff versus having no say and having to do just what the coach says. Now, you want a happy medium, right? Realistically, not one way or the other. It feels like there is completely one the exact opposite way. So instead of being that guy's like, shut up and get in line and do what I say, Matt's like, whatever y'all want to do, I'm good. I mean, he's like the exact opposite end of the spectrum, it feels.
Well, and again, I think Josh Jacobs goes into the office and says stuff like that because he feels like he has to in situations like that. Again, it's not that he wants to go out there and do all these things. I think he sees problems at special teams. Yep. He sees problems with the leadership on this team. It says, you know what? I have to be the one to go out there and do that in this moment. That shouldn't be the case in times like this. It should be Matt LaFleur.
The poll question on next again, how long of an extension would you offer Matt LaFleur? 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? Vote now. We'll talk more about it at 3 o'clock, but it'll be up. Did you put it up for 24 hours?
I did.
So we'll give you the results tomorrow, but we'll talk about it more at 3. I will just say this. I think, we'll see if I'm right or wrong on this. I think Bisaccia is gone, which then opens up the door frame or the door to get somebody else in here to put the associate head coach tag on to pay them more money than you would have if they were just something else. Okay. So I would think Halfley does get a job somewhere else. That staff then gets blown up and a new staff comes in. Now, what happened in Cleveland? Cleveland, Stefanski's out and they're trying to figure out what they want to do there. Schwartz, who is that defensive coordinator, is interviewing for the head coaching job. If Schwartz doesn't get the head coaching job, that's who I want. And I understand Raheem Morris and LaFleur are guys and all of that. And Raheem Morris is okay. But if you want nasty, physical, aggressive, that's Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator in Cleveland. That's the dude who should come in here and run this defense if you lose Halfley. He's been at the head of the snake before and run things. He knows all of that. That's one guy that you can go ahead and bring in here to help put together and redo this defensive coaching staff. Secondly, offensive line coach Luke Butkus, I don't see how he survives. And I'll be honest with you, Adam Stenavich wouldn't survive either. Boop. Both are gone. LaFleur has said time and time again, Stenavich has been in those offensive line meetings. Cool. Then you're both gone. Out you go. Then the one thing that cannot happen under any circumstance, you cannot let Mike McDaniel, or what's his name? McDaniel, the coach of the offense, right?
Yep.
You cannot let that cat be the offensive coordinator with the Lions. He's got an interview for it right now. You cannot allow him to get to Detroit. I don't care if he's a head coach in Atlanta or anywhere else. You cannot allow him to be the OC in Detroit. If that means you got to give him the associate head coach tag and give him play calling, then that's what you do. You cannot allow that cat to get to Detroit to run that offense, because that offense will be stupid good if you allow that to occur. No, you cannot have that occur.
Well, and again, one of my biggest complaints with the offense in this past game for the Green Bay Packers was how uninspiring the run game plan was against this Bears team. And I think Mike McDaniels, if there's anything he can do so far this season, he showed that he can get Devon A-Chain going without anything else going on offense in that team. In Detroit, he's going to go and do the same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs. Let him do it for you and whoever's playing running back for you next season.
You got a legit threat at quarterback, as does Detroit. So to me, it makes all the sense in the world to make sure that he does. I don't care if he's a head coach somewhere. Just don't let him be the OC in Detroit. Brian and McGuanago, you're first up on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Brian?
Guys, thanks for taking my call. My question to you is, doesn't the coach have somebody that stays by his side in the heat of the moment and to let him know how many timeouts are left in crucial situations? How often has that happened? Twice in that fourth quarter, when the game was slipping away at a rapid pace, they call 2 timeouts with just a few minutes to go in the game, and then they got a delay a game. I've seen it happen multiple times this year. That's coaching. And then the other thing that really needs to be addressed, and I think Keyshawn Nixon thinks that he's the coming of Jesus. There was a play in that game with about 5 minutes to go. He wanted no part of tackling. Literally no part. He just stepped aside. And I replayed it to make sure that I wasn't having a creative imagination.
No, everybody saw it. It was all over social media.
It was just so obvious. I couldn't believe that I actually saw what I saw. And I don't understand how he sticks on. He's got to be gone, too.
Jair did the same type of stuff. And I bet you could find tape of Deion Sanders doing the same type of stuff, too, man. Cornerbacks are divas in a big sense. This is not the first time a cornerback made a business decision to get out of the way of a running back cutting at him. Thanks for the call, Brian. Listen, I saw the video. Yes, it looks horrible. Christian Watson dad is on social media, like he's trying not to get his knee blown out. So he's running that up the flagpole to try to defend him. Fine. Whatever it is. I'm just saying, there are many of cornerbacks that have played in the National Football League that have done similar type of things. I promise you.
In moments like that, though, Deion Sanders he gets a little bit more leniency when he makes a business decision.
Yes, because he's a Hall of Famer.
I think Jair Alexander got a little bit more leniency when he made those types of business decisions. Beyond like the last year of his career.
So you're saying
even
Keyshawn's not good enough to make that business decision?
I'm saying Keyshawn throughout the majority of the season and in this game did not look good enough in order to make that business decision. And when you see Rashawn Gary making a whole ton of business decisions in this game, when you see a lot of people in the Packers offense at points make business decisions, I mean, it's just weird. It should not have been that way. And part of it is guys making decisions like that.
Let's go to Trell, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Trell?
Hey, what's going on with you guys?
You feel you sound a little bit more upbeat than you were Saturday when I talked to you.
Well, Sparky, what I've done this weekend, honestly, to tell you the truth, is I actually went back and looked at a lot of past situations with Matt LaFleur to kind of get me to understand why I feel as angry or why I feel as adamant about him not being the coach here no longer. So this is what I found out. This is what I researched, and I even got even more angrier once I went back through some of the old footage. But just before I get started, I agree with you with the Mike McDaniel situation. I think they cannot allow him to get to Detroit. That would be a fiasco for the Green Bay Packers. Now, Matt LaFleur is a great quarterback developer and a great play designer on the offset of just designing offenses. So I think he deserves to have a job in the league. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. He's proven to win regular season games. This is my problem with Matt LaFleur. In the playoffs, 3-6 record.
Yep.
In-game adjustments in playoffs has been terrible. Not just this recent game that we watched. You go back to the Tampa Bay game, the Packers offense didn't score a touchdown in the second half. They were pretty much out physical, which we've seen Chicago do. I think Ben Johnson just got to the point where he just said, listen, I'm going to go for fourth down every time on offense. I want you just to blitz. Just blitz them and see can he take that physicality, which has been proven has been a problem for Matt LaFleur-led teams. Clock management, which we've seen the Packers got a penalty
on a delay a game out of a damn timeout. Never should happen.
And that's not the first time that's happened. It's actually been Matt LaFleur's had an issue with them plays. Even going back to Aaron Rodgers' days,
correct,
they had issue with that.
Yep.
So, and the next thing is execution and composure. obviously we've seen that he didn't have any adjustments, and you've seen his offense look very bad in the second half when pretty much only thing that the Bears did was be more physical and just say, damn it, if they're going to beat us, just come with it. And they were like off-putting, didn't know what to do, and you can tell that his team had no fight back. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. I just think he's a nice guy, and I think that permeates throughout his team, that there's no sense of physicality. We've seen in the San Francisco 49er game in the playoffs how they out-physical us every time. Obviously, Tampa Bay's defense out-physical Aaron Rodgers in that offense, and we just seen the Bears pretty much punk us in this game. Ben Johnson, look how he treats LaFleur. Look how, like at the end of the game.
I mean, today Ben Johnson is talking. Ben Johnson didn't walk anything back today about his post-game celebration, the handshake, nothing. He stood on it today in his presser. Thanks for the call. He stood on it. We'll play some of that for you too coming up later. We're going to get to Mike Wahle. Did you know this? Some of you on social media probably saw this stat too. Did you know the Packers and Bears played 3 games? The Chicago Bears never took an offensive snap when they had the lead. Not one time in 3 games did Caleb Williams go hike when they had the lead. Let that sink in. Mike Wahle, former Packers offensive lineman, next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. There you go. Highlights courtesy of Amazon Prime. Al Michaels, 81, back again next year, calling play-by-play. How cool is that?
I guess.
You know how excited I'll be if I'm 81 still doing this talk show with you. Man, that would be amazing.
It's definitely a cool personal achievement.
Hell yes, it is.
I don't know about for the listeners all the time personally, but
I know. I understand how people are frustrated with them, but I don't know. That's a pretty cool deal there. See Sparky Fiver, Charlie Wirtz over there.
Charlie
Sports. Charlie, what did I say?
Charlie Wirtz. Like,
man,
I'm gonna get you every time.
Tommy Wirtz and Charlie using Q2, same person. Charlie using over there. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Former Packers offensive lineman Mike Wahle. Follow him on X at Mike Wahle 68. And Mike, I saw you on X, and you were a pretty frustrated dude during and after that football game.
What's up, guys? Yeah, that was tough to watch, man. The second half was just from the jump was a complete disaster. Missed assignments everywhere. You didn't come out of the locker room with the right headspace, man. It's a tough sport.
Okay, so a lot of people were, at least on our post-game show, it was 3 hours long, everybody seemingly wanted LaFleur gone and wanted to move on. Anybody, change voice, change coaching staff, try something else. He hasn't been able to win those big games outside of essentially the game in Dallas, Love's first year, in the postseason. What do you see as the biggest issues with Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff here over the last 3 years?
Oh man, that's a big question. I would say this. I just think that Matt's been there for 7 years now. When I was playing, I think the timeline for coaches that, like a good coach that wasn't, in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization or the Pats or something, 7 years kind of felt about right before you started losing your message. And I think that would be maybe the biggest concern that I have if you think about extending LaFleur, going forward, would be that just is that the message that we want, one, and then is that message, going to still be heard by this team? And I think because you have such a young team, maybe that's not as big of an issue. But I think the biggest singular issue that I have with this staff is that they haven't done a very good job of developing, the 8th through 52nd, 53rd player on the roster. I think they've got a handful of stars, whether they've bought them or drafted them, that are really, really good players almost out the box. But when you just kind of look at the meat and potatoes of this team, particularly in the trenches, they just have not been very effective at, they do a great job of putting players in a position to be successful. They don't do a great job of giving them the tools to find success. And I think it's a huge part of the sport.
Talk with Mike Wahle, former Packers offensive lineman here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Let's talk about this offensive line. Rasheed Walker did not have the best of games at left tackle. Jordan Morgan, I think, only gave up one real bad play while he was out there at right tackle. And it looked like, again, I'm not grading anybody, but it looked like he had a better game than maybe Rasheed Walker did at left tackle.
Rasheed Walker had an all-time bad start to the second half. It almost felt like he had a lobotomy or something at halftime. There were so many mental. Look, I don't say that lightly. I know how hard it is to play the sport, but I don't say that lightly, Sparky. But it's inexplicable, just absolutely inexplicable things that were happening on the football field. Picking up the wrong guy, hinging on backside pass plays. Yeah, it just couldn't believe what was going on out there. Those first 2 or 3 series in the second half were just, epically bad. And you don't know if they're being taught that, or again, they just they lost they just lost their common sense. I don't know. It was terrible.
If you look at this offensive line, and we talked about you as an offensive line coach, that's probably not going to happen. But having said that, if you're Brian Gutekunst, you're Matt LaFleur, where are you looking to do upgrade, or what do you want to see change from this year to next year?
Well, given the players that you already have in place, assuming that I don't think Elton Jenkins will be back, I'm assuming that you're starting offensive line. I don't think Rasheed Walker will be back. It's going to be Jordan Morgan, Banks, Sean Ryan, Belton, and Zach Tom. To me, I think with the right coaching, the right attention to detail and discipline, I think you've got a pretty good makings of a pretty good offensive line there. What you'd like to see, obviously, is those guys get a lot better at the basics of the sport, just talking about their kind of technical mastery. And then I think from a schematic standpoint, when you watch this team too often, they're kind of fighting an uphill battle against leverage positions that just they're not going to win with, and they don't do enough job or a good enough job of creating wrinkles schematically, whether it's a pin and pull action, a fold block, cutting out the backside tight end and letting him run inside the A gap or something to cut off the linebacker. They just don't do a great job of creating these leverage mismatches from a schematic standpoint. So you'd like to see that improve as well.
So I have a question that I'm sure most people are interested in. You have 100 different coaches now on an NFL staff, right? You have a passing game coordinator, a running game coordinator, the offensive coordinator, the play caller. This could be 4 different people. As far as what you're talking about, is that specifically on LaFleur? Is that on the OC game planning? Is that on the run game coordinator? Like, where do we look at and go, this is who's responsible for getting this fixed schematically?
Well, let me start by saying, Sparky, that schematically really isn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem is these guys don't enter into contact with the right profile, and that's a technical problem that needs to be taught by their line coach first and foremost, right? And then it needs to be policed and monitored by the offensive coordinator and head coach. But if we're talking schematics, you have a run game coordinator. Obviously, the entire offensive staff puts some sort of effort into the run game. Now, most of that's going to be done by your offensive line coach, and because Stanovich is an offensive coordinator, I imagine he has a big part to do with that as well. And when you start talking about the details of how you're going to execute that or the different calls that you want, everybody on this team is working under the framework that Matt LaFleur wants. So what I mean by that is if Adam Stanovich and the offensive staff are putting together a game plan with Matt LaFleur, they're doing it in the meeting guidelines and timelines and the field practice time that they have based on what Matt wants to do. The same goes for Jeff Hafley. The same goes for Rich Bisaccia. So I think that oftentimes in this situation, if you talk to Adam Stanovich, for example, you'd say, hey, listen, why aren't we putting our guys in a little bit better position or turning some of these into man blocks or down blocks or double teams instead of trying to do this zone stuff that we're not very good at? He would probably say it integrates with another part of our offense, or we want to just run it this way because we don't want to spend too much time on one play, or we have so many plays in the playbook, it's just a question of us getting to the right play or something like that, instead of saying, like, let's do less at an extremely high level, and then we can kind of slowly build out the playbook over the course of the year.
Time with Mike Wahle, former Packers offensive lineman, here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Following him on X at Mike Wahle 68. On the defensive side of the ball, I think there was a bunch of frustrations, right? I think a lot of it was pointed towards Carrington Valentine, who seemed to get lost on several plays of who he was supposed to be covering in that game. Keyshawn Nixon obviously had that horrible penalty. Then there's that viral video going around where he doesn't attempt to tackle the running back. The player for the Chicago Bears gets out of the way. Both of these guys are both in jeopardy of potentially maybe not being back with his team next year.
I don't think so. That's as far as rooms go, that's not a great one. When you look at the Packers right now, as far as depth, both those guys, obviously being the starters, you could make the argument you need to get an upgrade at least one of those cornerback positions. You feel really good about your safety room. Obviously, I'm going to add Bullard into that room.
Yep.
But you just don't have. Listen, you don't have that much money to go around. I think the number one priority on this team is to bolster up the trenches. Particularly that defensive tackle room. You've already spent a ton of money on the defensive line with Micah Parsons. Rashawn Gary's going to cost you a little bit against the cap next year, even though I don't think he'll be there. So if you spend on the corner room, I don't know if I would imagine you just try to draft somebody at a high level and teach them how to play that position and work them into the defense either on day one or maybe work them over the course of the year. But I would imagine both those guys are still on the football team.
One of the popular things that has been said out of that Packers locker room and by media members and fans alike is this team has struggled to learn how to finish games when given the opportunity. When people say that, what does that mean to you as a player?
It means that they're just not prepared to handle the situation, and it's very easy to start pointing fingers at whether or not this is a coaching thing or whether or not ultimately it's a player's responsibility to be prepared. I always just draw back on what does it mean to be mentally tough in these situations, Sparky? How to be able to be ready for that moment and execute what's required of you when your number's called. And to be a mentally tough player, you got to be able to practice and prepare at a higher intensity level than your competitors are. You have to do that at a consistent period. or a consistent basis over the time period that you have. And you have to believe that that matters and it's going to make a difference in your life. And I just don't know that I've never been to a practice with this regime. I've never been to a training camp, and I've certainly never been able to sit into meetings. But, I would imagine that this is not the most intense and competitive practice situation that you have in the National Football League. And, if you're going to have one of the youngest rosters or the youngest roster in the National Football League, you would imagine that should probably be the case. So I always look back and say, if you're not prepared for these moments, it's literally because you're not preparing for these moments in the right manner.
So I have one last thing. I am assuming, because you're on social media, you saw the Ben Johnson post-game celebratory, bleep the Packers, all that stuff that came out of that locker room. Now, Ben Johnson, earlier this year when he took his shirt off, did an interview and said that when he realized that everything he said in a locker room after a game was going to be on social media, he realized it then became a competitive situation for coaches, kind of trying to help him recruit other guys along the way who like his fiery personality and so forth. So since I read that, now I kind of feel like how much of this is real and how much of this is putting on a show for everybody else to get excited about, like his owner and his fan base and so forth. But as a player, if you're in Green Bay playing for the Packers and you see that, does that do anything one way or the other for you? Because it felt like all year Ben Johnson was all about this rivalry and beating the crap out of the Packers. And all year Matt LaFleur was like, it's just another regular season game and we'll see what happens.
Well, that's kind of the Packers mentality because, here's the reality, Sparky. Like, they haven't won the division in 5 years.
Yep.
And sometimes, and this is a very young football team, so most of these guys haven't been here when they were division champs, whether it was with Aaron Rodgers or Brett before him. But then, the Packers dominated this division for so long. I think there's this kind of idea that we really don't have rivals in this division. We're just kind of waiting for the playoffs all the time because we're going to be division champs. And I think with Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell over the last couple of years, and Kevin O'Connell have kind of come in and said it like, nope, that's not. You guys aren't the same team. We're not the same team. This is a new. These rivalries, at least to the rest of us, are real. You can continue to dismiss them, and you can talk before the game and say how you wanted the smoke from the Chicago Bears, and this is the team you wanted to face. But if you do that and you don't back it up, you're going to hear about it for the rest of the season, and now you're going to hear about it for 2 games a year every year. So I think this is kind of a wake up call. Whether or not it was put in the right way, I don't always like that the cameras are in the locker room, but I think the reality is all these teams have kind of realized that this isn't the same Packers team. This team has been a 7th seed for the last 3 years. Aaron Rodgers is no longer there. They're not winning division titles, and it's an extremely competitive division now in the NFL. And maybe the Packers need to kind of recalibrate and reset what they think about themselves in their division.
There he is, Mike Wahle, former Packers offensive lineman. He is amazing. Follow him on X at Mike Wahle 68. And you and Andy Herman just did a podcast today too, right?
Andy and I went live at about 11 o'clock, and we usually are, 30, 45 minutes. We went for about an hour and a half, man. There's a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, that is a lot. So, again, just go search Pack a Day Podcast. You can find that. And then you've got your own individual podcast as well.
Yeah, I do a Block Party podcast, Block Party with Mike Wahle. You can find that. You can find that on Andy Herman's show. I actually just did my my kind of season review of this last one. It's all answering listener questions. I dive into all these things that you're talking about, I'm sure, all day today, Sparky. So check that out. Process to Perform channel on YouTube, or, of course, the Pack a Day Podcast channel.
There is Mike Wahle. Follow him on X at Mike Wahle 68. Thank you so much, man. Enjoy the offseason.
All right, brother.
Take care. There he is, Mike Wahle, former Packers offensive lineman on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Let me tell you about my friends over there at Wendy's. Man, oh man, oh man. It is something to behold. I'm there all the time. Did you know that any youth sports player can score a free small Frosty anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniform? That's right. So basketball uniform, basketball, baseball, hockey, football, tennis, whatever uniform that they have on, you go over to Wendy's and your kid gets hooked up. How cool is that? That's right. Just stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a free Frosty at Wendy's? Coming up next, many a Packers talked while they were cleaning out their lockers today up at Lambeau Field. We'll let you hear from some of them straight ahead. It was a beautiful thing. And as I said on the postgame show, if the Bears lose that game to the Packers, the idiocy of Ben Johnson continuously going for it over and over again and screwing it up. Literally at 21-3 at halftime, even though we missed the field goal at the end, I was like, this game is at the feet of Ben Johnson right now of how this thing got to 21-3. Without question. Instead, attention diverted. Bears fans won't talk about it and move on. I promise you, if they end up losing at some point in the playoffs, which they may not, but if they end up losing, there is a very, very good chance that dude is going to be the fall guy for costing them a game, Charlie.
Oh, 100%. But I also find it hard to believe any coach wouldn't be the fall guy usually for a lot of these situations. Even if a quarterback has a bad game or a running back fumbles, it still always comes back to the coach some way, somehow for why a team lost. And any respectable reporter knows that too. They'll go and ask the questions, rewatch the game and see it that way as well. So yeah, I do feel like he probably will get some blame for it. But at the same time, him constantly going for the fourth downs, as much as it was frustrating at points in that game, you really saw that was just the message he was trying to send to his team, that we are not taking our foot off the gas at any point. Even if we are down 21-3, we're going to keep going for it and keep being this team that we've been all season. And you saw that message bleed into that roster in the second half when they got more energized and were ready to go for that second take.
You know what I find interesting?
What's that?
That story goes, Ben Johnson, when he got this job, and so forth, used that Falcons-Patriots 28-3 game as far as the whole look. Everybody thought they were down and out, and they fought themselves all the way back in that game, right? That was part of it. Who was on that coaching staff?
Who was on that coaching staff?
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
He was on that Falcons coaching staff when they blew that lead. He was Matt Ryan's guy. Yeah, he was there. And now you blew one similar to that in a playoff game at 21-3 at halftime. LaFleur involved in both of those fiascos that occurred. So just to keep that in the back of your mind, not saying he was responsible for Atlanta by any stretch of the imagination, just interesting how that all works out. However, having said that, players cleaning out their lockers today up at Lambeau. Everybody wanted to talk to Micah Parsons and when he thinks he's going to be back. Okay, so that obviously is key to feel like himself. The fact that he was there on crutches, supporting his team, all of that was a pretty big sign of solidarity in my mind. Micah Parsons did not have to be at that game. Nobody would have been mad at Micah Parsons, Charlie, if he decided not to go to that game.
No, probably not. But this is who Micah Parsons has been this entire time since he got here. He wants to be this leader. He wants to be a Green Bay Packer through and through. And that's the way he acted in that game on Saturday.
And he has said time and time again that, look, the idea of getting traded here was awesome. Like, this worked out perfectly. Like, he loves the organization and so forth. And he gets into talking about Matt LaFleur and all of that. We'll get to some of that at 3:00. Again, our poll question up right now on X. How long of an extension would you offer Matt LaFleur? 1, 2, or 3 years at WI Sports Radio. While you're there, you can stream the show or on YouTube at WI Sports Radio as well. Some of the other stuff that came out, another player recovering from injury, Tucker Kraft, talking about his. So good information from Micah Parsons. Good information from Tucker Kraft on what they are doing as far as coming back from injury. Then there's Zach Tom, who didn't play in that last game. When, again, earlier in the week limited, and then all of a sudden out, and we all went, out on like Thursday. That's not a good sign. Zach Tom talked about his offseason coming up. So Zach Tom now talking about having surgery. That's what he's looking at. That means he's out 6 months. So if he has surgery this month, he would still be ready for training camp at the end of July. So to me, that's fine. Get the surgery. Let's move on. Let's not take any chances. Let's progress forward. So there is a chance in week 1, Tucker Kraft and Zach Tom are ready. Micah Parsons is hoping for week 1, but realistically, he said it might be like week 3 or week 4. But either way, if you're in October and you're fully healthy and going, you'll take that. But the key then is going to be, can you stay that way, or at least more that way than you have been the last couple of years when the playoffs get here, Charlie?
It's really just, again, kind of frustrating hearing all this constantly over and over again, that guys are going into these games with these injuries. They're coming out of these games, important players with these injuries, hearing that season-ending surgery, and you just keep talking like everything's fine too. Again, this all just kind of goes back to Matt LaFleur, the frustrations they have with stuff like this.
Ron and Rome, you are next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line. Good afternoon, Ron.
Yeah, hi. I'm kind of frustrated that they're talking about bringing Matt LaFleur back. I'm usually always a guy who doesn't believe in changing coaches a lot, but I think he's proven that he's not going to get us a Super Bowl. And this reminds me of back when Lindy Infante was the coach of the Packers. They're both nice guys. You hate to see them lose their job. Ron Wolf came in, got rid of Lindy Infante, and we were good to go.
But there is a major difference in your philosophy there. Thanks for the call. Major difference. First of all, Infante had the Magic of the Miracles team, right? So Tim Harris, Brent Fullwood, Don Mikowski, Sterling Sharp, Jeff Query, Mandert was actually on that shirt. Why, I have no idea. But that was that team where they were the cardiac team, and they missed the playoffs based on what happened on Monday Night Football that year. They had cameras in the Steelers household and cameras in the Packers household. And I believe it was a Vikings-Bengals game or something like that on Monday night. And depending on who won would determine on who went to the playoffs and who didn't. After that, the team essentially imploded after that. And when Ron Wolf got there, they'd had a losing season, and there didn't seem to be any anger or anything around that. I think Ron Wolf called it like a country club atmosphere for a losing team, and Wolf was not going to have that. And as Leroy Butler has said many of times, Ron Wolf, after the last game of the season, came in, said, look around, most of you will not be here next year, and walked out. So that was oh boy, okay, let's see. And it was a revolving door of guys coming and going under Mike Holmgren when he got there, as they continued to try to find the right pieces, the right formula to make this whole thing happen. And then it was trade to get Brett Favre. And then Mikowski gets hurt, who was a good quarterback at that point. He gets hurt. Favre comes in and never looks back after that. And the entire course and history of the Green Bay Packers is changed forever at that point. Coming up next, we'll talk about our poll question. How long of an extension would you offer Matt LaFleur? 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? That's the poll question on X right now. And boy, oh boy, do I got a bunch of people loving Matt LaFleur for you to hear. That is straight ahead. I can't wait to play it all for you. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Back after this.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. How are you? I know. Life sucks. Packers loss. We're going to pop for the next week. I get it. I understand it. Been through it. Done it. All of that fun stuff. You know, it's weird how I have reacted to this differently than I've reacted to other big Packers losses. Like, much differently. Like, 2014, that was horrible. Like, just in a bad move for, like, ever. That was horrible. This, for me, is not that. And part of the reason is because that was your chance to essentially go to the Super Bowl. You were sitting there in the conference championship game. This was a 7th seed in a wild card game. And there was, at least not from me, ever a belief that they absolutely were going to win this game. Never at any point did I think that. In fact, I was on the score in Chicago on Saturday, Steve Rosenblum's show. And he asked me, he's like, hey, did you make a prediction on Friday on your show, Sparky? I was like, nope. He's like, you make a prediction? I said, sure. I took the Bears. And he was like, wow, you're the only person from Wisconsin I think we've had on this radio station all week that actually is taking the Bears. I was like, I just don't have a lot of confidence right now in this group going in. And in regards to Bears fans, there wasn't a lot of confidence, I don't think, from their fan base after their previous 2 games going into that one either. I don't think either fan base felt like, oh, yeah, we're going to blow them out. Now, it's 21-3. I felt good. But I also knew what happened the last time. So it's like, okay, come out, get a good drive here to start off the second half, get some points. Even if it's a field goal, just get some points because you ended the half on a missed field goal. So you wanted some positive momentum. And you go 1, 2, 3 punt. I'm like, oh, no. And the first 3 drives were brutal and short. And what happened? You started hanging your defense out there to drive, and they weren't giving up touchdowns necessarily, but they were giving up drives. So now they're starting to get beat up, worn out. You lose Edgerrin Cooper in the second half, which I think is a huge loss because he was the best player on that defense in the first half. He was an absolute beast. So you lose him. That's a negative. There's just so many things. We're just like, yep, it's just crumbling and falling apart. They got the game, or they get the ball back with like a minute 43. Josh and I are sitting here getting ready to do the post-game show. And we're on the air at this point, right? The air, we had already started on the network because we started at 10 o'clock. So we're already on the network. And I'm like, I got a good feeling about this. Like, they gave him too much time. Minute 43, plenty of time. Just like, you only have 1 timeout. I was like, I don't care. Plenty of time. They can go downfield and get something here. It'll be fine. Josh was not feeling it at all. He was like, what are you talking about? How can you have any confidence at this point? It's like, nope. It'll be fine. But then the Sean Ryan injury, I mean, thankfully he's not hurt. It was a bone bruise. He's fine. But that dude to be down like that and then a 10-second runoff from 32 to 22, like I was seeing former players being like, unless like your bone is split in half or your hamstring is completely ripped, you have got to get up and limp or whatever to get back to the line of scrimmage, man. How are you down and going to cost your team 10 seconds in that critical of a spot? And that was a big moment in that drive where you lost 10 seconds. That's at least that. I mean, the average play is like 6 to 7 seconds. So that's an additional play you could have had.
You got to find a way to get up. And then also, especially since, TJ Lang, I think, tweeted it out. It said, if it's not a broken leg or a torn ACL, you have to stay in the game in general, not even just limp off the field. You got to stay in that game. To find out it's a bone bruise afterwards, and then you had Lacita Smith go in for you afterwards, a guy that I think most people didn't even know was the Packers' backup center at that point in the game.
He played against the Vikings.
I know he did, but at the same time, it was just how many people were paying attention to the offensive line in the center position against the Vikings.
You're right.
This is a guy that is just, you immediately get deflated when you see that happen. First of all, Sean Ryan go down and then Smith come into that game. It just felt like that was an epitome, the pinnacle of what the Packers season has been so far. You get so close and then somebody important gets hurt.
We have the poll question up right now. on X, WI Sports Radio. We're streaming live and on YouTube. Also streaming at wisportsradio.com. You can also stream us there. Listen to all of the podcasts, all the things that you may have missed. It's all sorted out very nicely. If you missed the post-game show last night, go back and listen to that as well. How long of an extension would you offer Matt LaFleur? 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? That's what we'd like to know from you. Now, in the locker room today, people, of course, were talking about the one and only Matt LaFleur. Here's Tucker Kraft.
Well, I don't think there's anyone else that, I mean, how complex of an offense that we run. Well, first I'll start off with Matt. Matt's been nothing but generous to me, my wife, and my family since we've been here. I mean, constant communication with me ever since I was a rookie. He's just trying to get the best out of each and every one of his players. And he comes in with the right mentality every single day to coach us up to be the best version of ourselves for the best legacy team in the NFL. I don't think there's another coach that could come in and do it as well as he does it, especially with the complexities that are in this offense. When you get players that get into year 3 in this offensive tree, like the offensive knowledge that we had retained year after year, it's only getting better here. Matt, I think Matt's an outstanding head coach. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll remain here as a Packer. I think a lot of that talk is pretty silly.
A lot of that talk is pretty silly, says Tucker Kraft. Micah Parsons.
I've had my fair share of coaches and people around this league that I've been around, and Matt's one of the best guys and people, like as a person, I've been around since I've been in this league. I reached out to him when I started seeing this, and I said, man, when I agreed to come here, like, you were part of the reason why I came here. I want you a part of this, and, I love you, and, I think you're a great coach. And, he appreciated those words, and we had a brief conversation. But Matt is, I think he's a great guy, and I just think he cares so much. Like, he cares so much about the players. Like, I don't think people realize that. Like, and you could get spoiled with good coaching and good people, and you don't realize until they're gone. And I don't want to be at that point where we realize, like, damn, we let such a great coach go. Because at one point, the players got to, like, like, you talk about do your job, right? You talk about coach. I mean, the team put up, how many points they scored? 27 points. The playoff game, I always told you, if my team puts up 21 points, we should win that game. Put up 27 points, and we missed 6-7 on special teams. That's a 34 points. And you're talking about you want to get rid of a coach. At one point, players have to have accountability. And that's something that, I'm challenging us, and that's players that we need to take. We need to have accountability. How do we let that game go? Like, coaching can only do so much. It's about timeouts and X's and O's, great. But sometimes it's about playing football at the same time. Did you hear?
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Micah Parsons sticking up for Matt LaFleur. You need more? I got more. Here's Greg Olson on Wake Up Barstool on FS1.
I think the notion that Matt LaFleur's job is potentially in jeopardy is a bit ridiculous. I think what we've found over years, and obviously Coach probably has great perspective on this, is I think everyone is always in such a rush to find a replacement. And so often the replacement is by far worse than who the original coach was. And I think a guy like Matt LaFleur, his track record of offensive play calling and the success they've had, they've lost some tough playoff games, and they've lost some tough games down the stretch and bad endings. And certainly Saturday night is up there. You're up 21-3 at halftime against a team that had showed nothing there in the beginning of the game. And then you end up letting it slide. I just think the notion that you think you're going to upgrade from Matt LaFleur in this hiring cycle is nonsense. So I think Packers fans have every right to be disappointed, frustrated, mad. They certainly need to figure out why they can't close some of these games out. But the notion that they're going to upgrade this coaching cycle from Matt LaFleur, I think is nonsense.
Nonsense, says Greg Olson, who's calling games all over the NFL for the last several years. He knows all the situations, talks to all the coaches, knows the personnel on all the teams. This isn't some Johnny-come-lately that has watched one Packer game and really doesn't watch the NFL. He's in tune with everything that's going on around the league. Now, here's another guy that coached in the league, knows how tough it is, former Packer coach, John Gruden.
There's no way I would let LaFleur out of the building. I mean, unless anybody has a better candidate. And there's no better candidate. The guy's done a great job transitioning from Aaron Rodgers to Love. Love played great. Love has a bright future. They got to run the football. They can't run the ball with a 21-3 lead. The clock is the enemy. They got nothing going on the ground. We all know they're missing some of their best players. Kraft at tight end, Micah Parsons. They brought in Nate Hobbs to be a corner. They gave him $40 million. He never played. I just think Green Bay has to stay the course. They're going to have to handle the noise, and they got to find a way to run the football more consistently. But you got to give Chicago credit. I'll go back to this, Dave. The Packers lost that game on a stupid high school play. I mean, they fake a bubble screen over there, and guys take off and run down the field, and DJ Moore wins the game. They got to play better football at crunch time. I think some of these Packer players got to look themselves in the eye. You know, when you get a lead like that, your defense needs to slam the door shut, and this vaunted Packer defense did not come through.
It's interesting. John Gruden from Wake Up Bar still in FS1 as well. Whether or not that game, that meltdown holds on Jeff Hafley, and whether or not that may cost him a head coaching job this cycle. I mean, Matt LaFleur, it's like he's getting a head coaching job, so I know I'm going to lose him. I said earlier, I want Schwartz, the defensive coordinator from Cleveland, if he doesn't get a head coaching job. That's physicality. That's that edge and kind of craziness that he brings as a coordinator, and I think that would be fun to see how that works out in Green Bay. Having said that, there is a chance, I still think, that Hafley is back as DC and they do not lose him to another team.
I think there probably is a chance, but I also think that most competent NFL franchises and scouting departments will look at this game and say, a lot of that is on the players. Again, Rashawn Gary, there was plenty of times where he got back there and had opportunities to chase down a Caleb Williams, and you see a defensive tackle take off instead of Rashawn Gary, and he's just jogging behind everybody else to go make a play. You see effort plays like that a lot. I think when you lose an edge, Aaron Cooper, you immediately see how quickly the athleticism in that linebacker room just dissipates. And yeah, a guy like Tyron Hopper made a great play later on in the game, but that was probably more because he felt like he needed to go out there and make a big play. If you're going to come out and replace a player like Coop, you have to be able to go and make that play. He had the energy because he hadn't played all season. Evan Williams, I think at points in this game, had energy and came down and played the run better than a lot of players on this team. There's sometimes where you notice that there's just a lack of energy from veteran players, and that just cannot be on the head coach. Young players, maybe you can get into their heads a little bit, but when the guys that are supposed to be the leaders on that defense aren't doing their job, that's a problem for them.
And what I think you bring up is a valid point, which is when you have the youngest roster in the National Football League. Now, grant you, this is all their third years at least, or fourth years. There has to be more than just the coach as the leaders on this team. There just does. There has to be some type of veteran want to in that locker room that's going to be vocal, that's going to get on guys, that's going to push guys into uncomfortable situations maybe on the sidelines. And the second half of a game, somebody should be chewing their butt out on the sidelines. Like, dude, this is not acceptable. We've got to get our heads out of our behind and go execute. Like, that has to happen. If that happened and we didn't see it on TV, so be it. If it didn't happen, maybe it should have happened at some point. Could LaFleur have done it? Absolutely. Hafley can't. He's in the box. Ain't going to be him, which now means it has to be a player that's suited up and playing in that game. That's what it comes down to. And if you have a veteran team, maybe that's not needed as much. But when you have a young team, veteran leadership is everything.
But the problem is the veteran leadership of this team were the guys that were messing up. It wasn't the young guys. It wasn't the young guys that were out there and making mistakes. Jordan Morgan on the offensive side of the ball, if we want to head over there, came in and stepped up at right tackle and had a really good game. While you mentioned it before, and Mike Wall talked about it, Rasheed Walker was abysmal on the other side in the second half. Again, you can ask for these veteran leaders to come out there and do that, but first they got to get their own heads out of their own butts before they can get anybody's heads out of their butts.
Well said about butts. Hey, it's Sparky, and the biggest football Sunday of the year is happening on February 8th. Where are you watching the game? You want an unforgettable experience? Head to Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Watch the game at 1100 Bar and Lounge, Rock and Brews Restaurant, or the Small Bar. Get a ticket to the Yingling Tailgate Party in the Annex next to Potawatomi Sportsbook. Food and drink specials, including $20 Yingling pitchers and $10 off the 100-ounce beer tube. That's a lot of beer. I challenge them to do this for Jack and Coke, or Woodruff Reserve and Coke, or anything else. I'm all about beer tubes. I get the beer tubes. Give me some hard liquor, too. Hey, reserve premium seating inside the Potawatomi Sportsbook today. Tickets and reservations are available starting now, or go online at Potawatomi.com. Again, you want to be there to watch the game coming up on February 8th. Coming up next, Peter Buksowski. Oh, this is going to be fun. I don't think we're going to agree today, him and I. Based on social media, we may not agree on a lot, but we'll see. He comes up next. Locked On Packers, the Leak newsletter, straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. See Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Don't forget, coming up later in the show, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown, Packer Hall of Famer, will join us coming up at 4 o'clock. He specifically said, Sparky, I need more than 5 minutes. No problem. I'll give you all the runway you want, buddy. So he's coming out at 4 o'clock. I have no idea how long that one's going to go. Well, I'm just going to let him go. And then at 4:40, the announcement we made earlier today, the franchise, Tim Allen is back. He'll be hosting Hot Stove Weekly every Wednesday night through March 25th, starting this Wednesday from 5 to 7 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz. And you, of course, know Tommy Wirtz from doing the leadoff show all last year, which he will do again this year as well, hour to 90 minutes before every Brewers game. Then after every Brewers game, Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz will host post-game shows after every Brewers game, the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show all season long. So excited to have the franchise back in the fold here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Joining us now, there he is on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Peter Bukowski from the Elite Newsletter and Locked on Packers. Follow him on X at Peter_Bukowski. I don't think you and I are going to get along today, and if we don't, that's we're going to be okay with each other. I'm fine with it. But I am interested to kind of see where we're both at on this to a certain degree. But I had a post-game show Saturday night, me and Josh Albrecht from Inside Wisconsin Sports, who's filling in for Tommy Wirtz. I was getting bombarded and yelled at from everybody because everybody's like, they got to fire him. They got to fire LaFleur. I kept saying, I was like, man, Ian Rappaport literally said, did not matter what happened in this game, they were going to extend him and they wanted him for a long time. No way, they're keeping him, Sparky. You're an idiot. But okay, fine. So here comes the announcement today from Adam Schefter and saying that they're working towards it. Now, since then, Schefter has hedged his bet a little bit and said, well, just because they're working on an extension doesn't mean there'll be one. We have a poll question up right now on X at WS Sports Radio. How long an extension would you offer Matt LaFleur, Peter Bukowski? 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years?
I think you can't go any less than 2. Any less than 2, it's like, what are you doing the extension for? I think if you're the Packers,
why would Matt sign it if it's 1? That's my thing.
That's what I mean. Like you're not signing that. And so it's like you either think he's the guy, and so you give him at least a 2-year extension. Remember, he's still got 1 year left on the deal, or you move on. And I do think it's interesting though that there's been a lot of talk about this extension and the money. Have you noticed a lot of national writers, local writers, Tom Silverstein saying, look, they're going to work on this. They're going to see if they can make the money work. Albert Breer landed on $15 million as the cutoff point. Rob Domofsky said if he wants $16 million, that might be too much. It seems like there has been some agent plant seeding around here with the media about what is going on here. And it seems like the Packers are saying, we don't want to pay too much. And Matt LaFleur's side is going, they don't want to pay too much. And this has become a war now that is being played out in the media.
We just talked about that on this show, Charlie and I, because there was an article, I don't remember where it was from, that sectioned off the tiers of coaches and how much they were all making. And they said that LaFleur was somewhere between like 7 and 9 or whatever. But the elite tier of coaches that are making 15 or more, they got rings, right? I mean, for the most part, they got rings in that tier. He's never even been to the damn Super Bowl. So if I'm Ed Policy and the Packers, it's like, all right, Matt, let's say he's making 8. I'll go up to 12, maybe 13 million. But based on your record and your playoffs versus the guys that are above you, like there's no way he can be in that conversation, Peter.
Well, I mean, look, there's what your value is, and then there's what people are willing to pay. And sometimes those are not the same thing. They're your value to Green Bay, I mean. And your value is what people are willing to pay on the open market. And I think that's where this is interesting because the Falcons, I think the Falcons would give him 15, 18, 20.
Matt Ryan, for sure.
I think the Dolphins would consider 15, 18, 20. John Eric Sullivan from the Packers front office now down there. So if you're Matt LaFleur, you're going, hey, those guys are willing to pay me. I want to be here. He said on the mic yesterday, Sparky, this is a one-of-one job. This is the job in the NFL that I would want. Now, it also happens to be the one he currently has. So he does kind of have to say that. He can't be like, hey, it would be great working with Matt Ryan, who's going to let me do whatever I want. Like, you can't do that. So to me, I can't think of an example. And you tell me if you can think of one. I can't think of an example of a situation with a head football coach where the team said, we want him back. The coach said, I want to be back, and money got in the way. I just can't think of an example of that. Now, there have been times when it's been power, when it's been things like that. Think about this, though, Sparky. In 1999, I believe it was, the Packers traded Mike Holmgren to the Seattle Seahawks. He got $4 million from the Seattle Seahawks to be their general manager and head coach. You know what Matt LaFleur got on his first deal? 5 on his very first deal. So he didn't get the inflation. He was the cheap head coaching option when they signed him originally. And so part of this is also sticker shock. They haven't had to coach search for a guy as good as Matt LaFleur has been in the regular season since then. Again, if Matt LaFleur's on the open market, the Falcons are paying him a lot of money. The Dolphins are paying him a lot of money. The Giants would pay him a lot of money if they can't get John Harbaugh. So who knows? The Ravens. I think Matt LaFleur, Lamar Jackson, that would be fun as hell to me. So this he does have the market to negotiate against, and that helps him in this case.
Peter Buksowski, the Leap newsletter, Locked On Packers, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. So let me ask you this. If Ed Policy comes to you, Peter Buksowski goes, all right, man, I know you may not be happy. I'm extending Matt LaFleur and all that. Okay, fine. Here's a piece of paper. Write down the names of other people on this coaching staff that you would like to see move on from. Who's on your list?
Well, I don't think they're going to have a choice on Jeff Hafley. I think he's getting one of these jobs, right? So
I don't know. I don't know if after Micah Parsons that because again, everybody else doesn't have Micah Parsons. So I don't know if after Micah Parsons, he proved enough to everybody else that, oh yeah, no matter who he has, it's going to work. And then this last blow up in the second half, I agree with you that I wouldn't be surprised if he got one. I just don't think it's lock, stock, and barrel like Matt LaFleur is making it out to be.
I do because I think if the Dolphins can't trade for Matt LaFleur, they're gonna try and do everything they can to get Jeff Hafley, assuming they can't get John Harbaugh, who I think is also in their sights. I just don't think he's going to Miami. So, but he would not be on my list, to be clear. I just think they're gonna have to get a new defensive coordinator. This would start on the bottom with the offensive line coach. I just don't think the quality of the play has been good enough. Luke Butkus, who was promoted from assistant offensive line coach when they promoted Adam Stenavich. And it seems like, and Sparky, this is not my favorite phrasing, but I have to use it because it's the phrasing. I think this coaching staff got Peter principled a little bit. I think Adam Stenavich was a very good offensive line coach. I don't think he's been I don't think we've seen anything to suggest he's a very good offensive line coach the offensive coordinator, because the things he's supposed to be good at have atrophied over the course of him getting more power. That tells me there's a problem here. So I think this team needs some fresh ideas. And what I said on Locked On Packers today is I think they need someone Matt LaFleur sees as more of a co-head of the offense, more of an equal. Could you bring in someone who's got some experience, who's got some juice? Would you consider someone like Todd Monken just to give you a fresh perspective? One of the things that I had suggested on me on Twitter that I love, the first name might not get you excited, but the second name I think will. You bring the Callahan father-son over. Brian Callahan was the head coach at Tennessee, but worked for Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. He becomes your OC, your non-play calling OC. He's got an analytics bent to him. And then you bring his dad, Bill Callahan, who's one of the best offensive line coaches of his generation, to help revitalize this offensive line. I think that would make a lot of sense. To me, those are the big ones: offensive coordinator, offensive line. And then of course, I just assume Rich Bisaccia is on the list. He is the list in a lot of ways. And so I don't have a good answer for who you're going to replace him with, but I think those are the three names that I can think of. And I said this on X before we knew anything about anything, that I said, regardless of who the head coach is, I think they're going to have a new OC, a new DC, a new offensive line coach, and a new special teams coordinator in 2026. I think I'd be shocked if I don't go at least 3 for 4 on that.
Okay. So I'll tell you what I said earlier in the show, which is this. They cannot, under any circumstances, I will not listen to any excuses that they have. They cannot allow McDaniel to get to Detroit to be OC. That absolutely cannot happen. And if that means he gets to be the OC and possibly call plays, then he gets to be the OC and possibly call plays, be associate head coach to LaFleur. LaFleur saved his butt and got him back into the NFL and vouched for him. So they're boys. There's not a trust factor there or an issue with trust between those two. I think he's going to get a head coaching job. But if he doesn't, you cannot allow him to go to Detroit. If he goes to Detroit, Peter Buksowski, this whole division's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that would, yes. I've been talking to some Miami people this week because of the John Eric Sullivan thing, and then just getting a gauge on what they think the temperature is with Mike McDaniel there. And the universal response is just like, yeah, Mike McDaniel and Matt LaFleur together would be dynamic. It might be the kind of thing like in Kansas City, Matt Nagy has a lot of say in that offense with Andy Reid. Before that, Eric Bieniemy had a lot of say in that offense with Andy Reid. It's not, I don't think, out of the question for a very good offensive coach to say, I could use some help with this. I could use, and I remember, I don't remember if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, Matt LaFleur was asked, who are you watching? When you watch offseason tape, who are you watching? And he said, San Francisco and Miami. Well, that's Kyle Shanahan. That's Mike McDaniel. Yep. So Mike McDaniel does some really cool stuff with offense. He's someone who can bring a lot of fresh ideas. I actually think Matt LaFleur is a better game caller than Mike McDaniels, but it would be that, to your point, an infusion of ideas and, hey, what if we did this? What if we did this? I don't think he has enough people in his ear going, what if we did this? Or, hey, remember that play we called in the first half? We got to get back to that. Or that play that worked in practice. Remember there was that, I don't know if you saw the go long reporting that there was someone on the team last year said that, hey, in practice, there are these plays that work like gangbusters. And all of a sudden in the games, they're not getting called for whatever reason. To have a coach that you trust with Matt LaFleur to give you those ideas, like, hey, remember that play? I think he needs someone more like a peer in that spot.
Isn't that supposed to be Luke Getsy on this staff? Isn't that supposed to be the guy? Isn't that is what he is supposed to be doing, Peter Buksowski?
Yes.
Isn't that why he's here?
But maybe you need more than that. Like Luke Getsy was kind of inherited from Matt LaFleur, right? Like Luke Getsy's actually a Mike McCarthy guy. So they're not boys in the same way. It's not the same. It's not the same. Nathaniel Hackett, same thing. Like Nathaniel Hackett, was Matt LaFleur's first guy, but it's not like, I don't think he's someone that Matt LaFleur sees as a peer. Mike McDaniel is a peer. That's a different thing. So to your point, yes, go get him. But the problem is, I don't think they're going to want to pay the money to bring in someone like that unless LaFleur abdicates play calling. And frankly, I'm not sure I want that for the Packers. So it's tricky. It really is. If you told me, let me throw this at you. What do you think of, let's say Miami comes calling and they said, we'll give you the 11th overall pick. We'll give you a second rounder in 2027. And Mike McDaniel wants to come be the OC there, and Robert Saleh is going to be the head coach. What do you think?
Done. That I do.
I think that's that is a very interesting conversation to me.
Yes, done. I mean, that's a lot that's got to go right. But this is my point to you. There's no way they're coming here to replace their boy. No chance.
But if he gets
Robert
traded
Saleh would be
somewhere where
like,
he's going to get $20 million a year, is you just sort of like good luck?
Well, Saleh's got to be. They got to be on board with each other here, because I don't think Saleh's taking this job to replace him without LaFleur going, "That's cool, man. We're good." I don't know. And then how much are they going to pay Saleh? So they're going to pay Saleh less than they paid LaFleur at the end of the day? And how much is McDaniel going to? I mean, I don't.
This is the issue. All of the. This is why I think ultimately a deal gets done, is because all of the replacement, like the good contingency plans, involve paying the same amount or more than what you'd have to just pay LaFleur. So the question, I think, if I'm Matt LaFleur, is this is really to me what it all comes down to. Are you willing to take a little less if, as part of the negotiation, you say, okay, let me take 13. I'm not taking $1 less than Ben Johnson's getting. Let me get 13, and let's set aside some of the money that would have otherwise been paid and pay some of these assistant coaches, because this has been a notoriously cheap franchise when it comes to paying assistant coaches. So you want Raheem Morris to come here and replace Jeff Hafley? I do. I think that would be a good hire. But if you want to get a good defensive coordinator, you're going to have to pay.
Okay, Peter, I'll tell you who I want. You can have Raheem Morris. I don't think the defense physically gets any tougher. I don't think much changes. I want Jim Schwartz. That's who I want.
Okay.
You want nasty. You want physical.
That
you
defense
want
in Atlanta was kicking ass by the end of the season.
And
they love Raheem Morris.
When I think Jim Schwartz, I think nasty, physical, super aggressive. You want somebody to fire up a locker room before a big rivalry game because LaFleur can't do it. Jim Schwartz probably is your guy, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me.
I would not be opposed to it. It would feel a little bit like the Mike Pettin hiring, where it's just sort of like you're trying to you're kind of grasping a little bit. I would like to find the next Jeff Hafley. I just don't know who that is. And we didn't know that Jeff Hafley was the next Jeff Hafley when he was hired. That was the first time I think Matt LaFleur showed he can find something off the beaten path, because he was nowhere near any list we were thinking of. There are some names out there. Christian Parker in Denver would be a name that I would have interest in. Jim Leonard, is that bridge burned? Remember, Matt LaFleur once upon a time essentially offered him the job.
Yeah,
there was a lot going on behind the scenes. I'm sure you heard some of the same things I did about why that did not happen. But that would be something that I think certainly would get Packer fans excited. I don't know if it would work, but any better than any other coaching hire. But I think there are good potential defensive coordinator hires out there, even if it is. I don't think Christian Parker would cost the world. I don't think Jim Leonard would cost the world, and I think they would be good fits for Green Bay.
Talking with Peter Bukowski, the Elite Newsletter, Locked On Packers podcast. Follow him on X at Peter_Bukowski. Let's talk about cornerback on this football team.
Ugh, do we have to?
How do you address it? What do you do? Because you have to fix it.
Yeah. Well, do you? Because Brian Gutekunst didn't seem to think so before the year for some reason.
Well, let's see what he thinks later this week when he talks.
And maybe the fix is Micah Parsons plays 17 games in the playoffs. I mean, I would consider continuing the Trayvon Diggs experiment, just because why not? And you technically have him. I would have to look at the financials, and I'm sure there are ways they could finagle the contract.
Yeah, that's a gigantic leap. They would have to figure out some type of renegotiation.
Yeah, I think he understands he's not going to get that money on the open market. He was just waived from the Cowboys, so I'm sure they could figure something out there. But they have to bring in an infusion of outside corner talent. I think this could be one of those, like, they use their second and third round picks on corners, that kind of thing. The problem is most rookie corners, even if they turn out to be good players, most rookie corners stink. And so these are guys you need to play right away. I think you need to figure out, Nate Hobbs, can you play on the outside? Otherwise, I don't know what your utility is. I do still think there is value there with him. I think he's a good player. I think he was hurt all year, and I think that sucks.
Yep.
This team was so snake bit with injuries, and you could hear them. Like, if you listen to any of the sound today, they're all just sort of like, it'd be really nice to have all of our guys be healthy in a game like this. Like, when was the last time they did? And I think the answer is 2019.
David Bakhtiari.
They just didn't have enough guys in 2019.
Bakhtiari called him out on it on social media, but at some point here, we've got to figure out the injury problem agreement. Like, enough is enough. And it's consistently every year injuries, and then it's hard to overcome. I mean, a lot of people think they beat the Buccaneers in the playoffs that one year if he doesn't go down with an injury.
Listen, I agree, but here's the other problem, and here's another reason for Adam Stenavich not being the OC anymore. 2020, David Bakhtiari goes down. They flipped sides with Billy Turner, played Rick Wagner, rather than leaving Billy Turner on the right side and letting Elton Jenkins play left tackle, who at the time was capable. We saw him, in fact, I believe, to open 2021, look like a left. I think he played the first game of 2021 as a left tackle. Looked like a left tackle before he got hurt. I think that might have been the fix. 2021, David Bakhtiari still not back. They had been playing with Yosh Nijman at left tackle and Billy Turner at right tackle. They decide, when they can't get Bakhtiari back in week 18, to change the offensive line that had been working. They flip Billy Turner to left. They put in the journeyman Dennis Kelly at right tackle, and they couldn't block anybody against San Francisco. They have consistently gotten these things wrong. That is an Adam Stenavich and a Luke Butkus problem, and that's why they need to be gone. That's why they need to find some new people to manage that, because you can't have that problem. You asked me about cornerbacks. We wound up on offensive line, because this to me is still the biggest problem for the Packers. The winning in the trenches. They got their butts kicked in the second half against the Bears in the trenches. They got their butts kicked, and you can't have that.
What other radio show in this country will you hear Yosh Nijman, Kelly, Billy Turner? Nobody else in this country talking about those dudes today. I promise you, after the Packers lose to the Bears. Peter Bukowski, thanks for coming on as always. And of course, on the way out, I always let you promote. Go ahead.
The Leap newsletter is you mentioned, and Locked On Packers. We have a new cool thing called the Everydayer Club. Ad-free, Locked On Packers. There's a Discord server that you get access to. Locked On Packers fans there. It's a great time. LockedOnPackers.supercasts.com.
It's a beautiful thing. Peter, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you.
There he is, Peter Bukowski on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Don't forget, in a world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, and more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup. New Wendy's signature, that's my favorite. New sweet chili or new scorching hot, or choose one of the classics: honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable, you'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's got to be Wendy's. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Hope y'all are doing okay on a Green and Gold Monday. I know majority of us are mad that they lost that game against the Bears on Saturday night, but we're like 2 days removed from that now, right? We know it looks like Matt LaFleur is staying, so everybody that was angry and wanted him fired, you're going to have to move on from that thought as well, unless something dramatically changes. And no matter what, if you're ever in that situation where you need help, right? You were involved in a car accident or something crazy like that, there is only one place to go. Habish, and Rotier. These dudes have been around for almost 100 years, man. I mean, everybody listening knows who they are. I say Habish, and Rotier. Oh, yeah. I know who Habish, and Rotier are. They're known nationwide, man. This isn't some local rink-and-dink shop, right, somewhere in southeastern Wisconsin, whatever. 13 locations across the state of Wisconsin. And yeah, they've won giant cases, right? They got the largest personal injury verdict in state history. Great. But you know what matters is that when you bring your case to them, your case is the most important case to them because it's the most important case to you. And that's what separates them. People that you can trust, that you know have a history of success time and time again. Visit them today. Visit Habish.com. Call 800-2HABISH. And don't forget, plead the fifth every Friday at 4:20. Brought by Habish, and Rotier as well.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, time for Charlie Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. We'll get into Prize Picks a little bit later in the show. We got to go over what happened in my lineup. We put out there as well. Charlie, where are we going first?
All right. So first up, we're going to head over to the NFL pregame on ESPN for today for Monday Night Football going on later tonight between the Steelers and who are they playing again?
The Texans.
I don't know why that just blanked out of my head. Sometimes that happens, Sparky, you know. But from that pregame over
myself,
there, Dan Orlovsky was discussing the game from Saturday though, between the Packers and the Bears and the play calling that Matt LaFleur had in the second half.
I'll go to the second half, and if you just watch the second half, a couple things. Injuries started to pile up. 6 penalties. That was a huge part. Also, they have this 21-3 lead. In the second half, their possessions averaged 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Yeah. What you thought I was thinking?
1 minute and 50 seconds. Now, you'll love this. 31 pass attempts, 7 rush attempts. And so you're trying to figure out, like, what missed kicks. There's no question about it. The 2 drops, Jaden Reed and then Christian Watson go for 2. But I think it's just the whole management of that situation and not thinking the end game, rather than just being in the moment, almost too aggressive out of Matt LaFleur.
Did you hear what he said? He said almost too aggressive. And what have you all been saying? He took his foot off the gas. I hate Matt LaFleur. He took his foot off the gas. That dude is a former professional quarterback that watches film each and every week, knows more than you, knows more than me. And he said, quote, he got too aggressive. So can we stop the whole nonsense of taking the foot off the gas? God bless you, Charlie, for finding that audio and playing it. I had not heard it. That was beautiful. Thank you much. Moving on.
Next up, we're going to head over to 670 The Score. Rahimi Harris and Grody. We're discussing how Ben Johnson has handled the Packers-Bears rivalry so far, since a lot of people have been giving him flack for his handshake and the way he's handled himself lately.
Best at handling this rivalry since Mike Ditka. He's the best at handling this rivalry since Mike Ditka. No other coach since Ditka actually fueled this. Like, they all said what they had to say. Lovie Smith famously on the first day, our number one goal is to beat Green Bay. But there has been no coach since Mike Ditka who has felt this rivalry the way Ben Johnson
Oh,
has.
you mean like the previous head coach sitting courtside at Marquette during a game, for example?
Yeah. That would not be something that Ben Johnson would do. I don't expect Bears head coaches to get and feel unless they're from here. I don't expect them to get and we project that on them. But Ben Johnson has done it without us needling him.
It's not fake. It's very much authentic, and you can understand when he said we haven't in 15 years. It's like, bro, you weren't even okay. But if you feel it, you feel it.
This is fun. You could mark this down. This Ben Johnson character, he's a chameleon. he's like Aaron Rodgers' dating life. So he's going to change to whatever the owner wants him to be. So you mark my words. If and when he leaves this team to go, say, to the Browns or the Bengals or the Steelers, whoever that owner hates, he'll then do the same crap to whoever team they're playing at that point. Do I believe he hates them? No. Do I believe he's trying to get in good with the McCaskey family because it was so important to them? Do I think that's part of the reason how he got the job was to display this made-up hate towards the Packers? Abso-freaking-lutely. Do I blame him? No, he's pushing it over the top. Am I frustrated that LaFleur refuses to get involved in this? Absolutely, I'm frustrated by that. Drives me nuts that he doesn't say anything and doesn't get involved in this. That handshake and runaway crap that he pulled. And then I saw Lions fans like going in on him. Like, there's no way Dan Campbell would ever do that classless crap like he's pulling. And they're right. Dan Campbell would never do that. But you're seeing the dude now. This is the dude. He's going to chameleonize it to whatever the owner wants of wherever he is. So
he said it himself.
This nonsense.
He said it in his press conference today. Oh yeah, me and George McCaskey talked about how much we hate the Packers. That's why we've been doing all this.
Every time McCaskey interviewed a guy for that job, he brought that up about the Packers and his hate. Nobody understands how much that family hates the Packers. Like, you do not understand. All right, we got time for one more.
And last up here, we'll diverge away from Packers-Bears for a little bit to head over to the Jacksonville and Buffalo Bills game, where after the game, Jacksonville Free Press reporter Lynn Jones gave a heartfelt message to Liam Cohen, and a lot of people took issue with it for some reason.
I want to tell you, congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank
you.
You
Hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank
you. You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all right? You keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, man.
First of all, let me just say this. I don't have enough time. We're going to have to get to break. But all of this higher than now of, that's not a real reporter. You can't be friends. Man, there are reporters all over this country going to have dinner with head coaches, going to have drinks with assistant coaches.
Training camp, did the Packers reporters go out with Matt LaFleur? They posted the picture of it.
Yes. Stop. Just stop, man. Like, and I can tell how many people are older by the way they're going in on this lady who doing what she did. Is it real? I mean, should she have done it in that setting? No. Could she have done that off to the side probably and nobody would have known or cared? Yes. Maybe not the best time to do what she did. I'm not mad about it by any stretch of imagination. Up next, the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown, Packers Hall of Famer. And our Green and Gold update straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Here we are, broadcasting live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you, Charlie Usen over there. Thanks for listening all along the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network today. Whether you be at 93.9 The Game in Wausau, thanks for checking in. Duluth Superior, 710 The Game, or in the Green Bay Appleton area on that flamethrower 99.7 FM, WNFL, and of course in Milwaukee, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan. Appreciate y'all for listening. Coming up, Tommy Wirtz from 5 to 6 with Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. Looking forward to hearing the best of what happened on today's programming from 5 to 6 today. Also, still to come today, we'll hear from the franchise Tim Allen, who makes his return to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, doing a Hot Stove Weekly show. With Tommy Wirtz, of course, did our leadoff shows last year before every Brewers game. Him and Tommy will do Hot Stove Weekly shows every Wednesday night from 5 to 7, starting this Wednesday all the way through March 25th. And then they'll be doing the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show after every Brewers game all year long. Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz, again, doing that. So a pleasure to have Tim Allen on board. So we'll have the leadoff show. We'll have the post-game shows, Hot Stove Weekly shows. Really stepping up our Brewers game coverage. Really taking it up a level here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. So we'll hear from Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz coming up at 4:40 to talk more about that. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all, for our green and gold update, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He is the Gravedigger, Packer Hall of Famer, and Super Bowl champion, Gilbert Brown. Follow him on X at Gilbert Brown. Gilbert, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
What's up, brother?
Not much. Packer fans are mad. Packer fans are even more mad now that apparently they're working on an extension with Matt LaFleur. Packer fans want him gone. I'm not one of them necessarily that want him gone. There's been a lot of vitriol from hosts on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network today as well towards Matt LaFleur and the job he did and not understanding how he's getting a contract extension out of this. I'll ask you your thoughts on Matt LaFleur and his 7 years here.
Well, it's give and take, man. I mean, my God. I mean, how do you go to an inferior team and be up 21-3 and lose the game? How does that happen?
I don't know. How do you blow that lead with 5 minutes to go against the Seahawks with McCarthy in the conference championship game?
There's a difference. You have a high-powered team that you're not using right. You are not using that team, that offense, to its full potential. And you do not go in second half with – see, this is what people don't understand. The Chicago Bears have coaches too. And they went in at halftime and came out with a different game plan, and we came out with the same mess we started with.
I think
we got out-coached that second half.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say that something that LaFleur has struggled with and his coaching staff has struggled with are the second half adjustments. But at the same point, no Micah Parsons, no Devontae Wyatt, no Elton Jenkins, no Tucker Kraft.
Sparky, no. That is not an excuse against the Chicago Bears. Not an excuse. They are an inferior team compared to us. We could beat them with 5 drunks coming out the stand. That's how better our stand. That's how better our team is against the Chicago Bears.
I mean, come on, man. The Bears aren't that bad, first of all. Number one,
they are horrible. They are horrible, and we made them look like a football team.
We did, yes. I agree with you on that. So defensively, in the second half, as the Packers are going 1-2-3 punt for like the first 3 possessions, And this Bears offense is moving the football, but really not scoring touchdowns at that point. Where did your frustration level grow with this team in the second half? Is there a certain point where you're like, oh my God, they're going to lose this game? I can't believe it.
Defense did their job, man. Defense can hold and hold and hold, and the offense is not scoring any points. We're not moving the ball on the ground like we're supposed to. I mean, that second half, we played. I don't know what kind of football we played, but you can see what they was trying to do. Okay, let's start running the ball. Let's try to chew up some clock. But our offensive line was not moving anybody out of the way to do that. We got one of the premier running backs in the league, and he getting 1 to 2 to 3 yards at a time. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So then, if they shut that down, then we got to open up the passing game. And to be honest with you, I am very disgusted with how they have been using number 0 this whole season. You put number 0 on one side, you put Watson on one side, and you put Dobbs in the slot with Musgrave or whoever the hell, whoever it is, we will kill any inferior team by just that lineup right there. Period. Because then you just send these two, just go, just like they do in the backyard. Just you go deep, everything else underneath. We will kill people because they can't run with those two. But we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't get offensive linemen that can move people. We got athletic offensive linemen that can pass block all day. Well, what about when it's time to put your hand in the dirt and start moving people? We don't got that. Unacceptable.
I had Mike Wahle on.
That's why people are pissed off.
Yeah, I had Mike Wahle on earlier in the first hour of the show. And his frustrations have been pretty much all year long about the technical side of how this offensive line is playing. And he just thinks like they just have to be better coached and just taught the fundamentals and so forth much better as far as what they should be doing and how much better they could be if they were doing different things than they're doing at this point. Having said all of that, when we talk about Matt LaFleur as the head coach, people have said, well, he might be a great coordinator, but he's not a head coach, right? He's not going to be that motivator, that leader of men like Dan Campbell or Ben Johnson. He's not that dude. When you have the youngest roster in football going on 3 straight years, how much of that falls on the head coach to be that guy? How much of it falls on the veterans to be those dudes for this roster when you're that young?
I tell you what, Matt LaFleur is real pretty. I give you that. But when it comes down to being a coach and being a manager of a team, you know, some head coaches get caught up in, I got to call the plays. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then some coaches manages the whole team. I mean, sometimes we get away from that. You know what I'm saying? And it's to the point where we get set in our ways and we don't listen to nobody else because we got to do it this certain way. That is not good for this high-powered Green Bay Packer offense that's supposed to be in the Super Bowl this year. I mean, come on. I mean, look at it. I mean, if you look at the X's and O's of how we do it, yes, we have injuries.
Lots.
Yes, we had this. Yes, we had that. But that team that was out there should have wiped the field with Chicago all 3 times.
So knowing Matt LaFleur is going to be back as the head coach, it appears right now, we don't know how long the extension will be. Are there changes that you want to see on this team? Because a lot of what people bring up is they don't know how to finish games, and that falls on the head coach. What say you?
Yep. I mean, you can listen to the fans and you can listen to this, that all day, but if the talent dude, which is what's his name, Goody,
yeah,
whatever he's putting out there, then LaFleur got to make work. But then again, if you don't know how to run that offense, I mean, you can call plays all day, but if you don't put certain people in certain positions, then you don't know your team. Anybody knows that zero was not played to capacity this year. The offensive line needs to play better. And the certain play calls and certain situations, I just don't understand. And that's just the offense. Okay, the defense, you know, I mean, when you look at it up front, I'm disappointed in Van Ness.
Yep.
I'm very disappointed in him. But then again, you got to have guys to step up. You got to have the talent dude got to bring in guys that's going to be backups, that's going to pick it up when guys go down. I mean, that I'm so pissed off that Derrick Henry came in Lambeau Field. He's still running in Lambeau Field. I had never seen that before. And it all carries on. It carries on, and we go into the playoffs a losing team. All that adds up, Spark. If you don't go in with momentum, stupid things like this that happened to us last week happens.
This is the other part of this is the interior defensive line after Devontae White went down became a big problem as far as stopping the run, like you brought up with Derrick Henry and so forth. They could have used Gilbert Brown on this defensive line this football season for sure. How do you fix that? Is it just new dudes in those roles? Because, I mean, some of these guys, you can look at like Brooks, like he gets good penetration, all that, but he's undersized, right? He's not you for sure at this point. So, I mean, can you coach up with what you have, or do you have to go get just bigger dudes on that front line going forward?
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, you sit up there, you look at the guys like the Stackhouse and all these other guys and different things, and then their technique. I mean, you also got to listen to the scheme, because if you got a scheme where you just got your D-line slanting, which you will never see that, you know, as a fan, but you know that you're slanting, or instead of two-gapping, or instead of getting pressure up the field. You know, it's certain situations where you are already blocked by your movement. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're blocked by your move. I'm going to just let him go past, and then I'm going to get up on him. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have different guys that's built to stop the run. Everybody's either trying to get away from it, or I want this quicker up the field guy. You got to have you a guy that's going to sit in there. That's why I miss Kenny Clark so much. I wish they'd have gave up Van Ness for Kenny Clark instead of Kenny Clark. But that'll never happen. But you know what? We make ourselves into this, and this is how we got to play it. So now we got hope that the talent dude can be able to get us some more guys in here that fit the mold of the Green Bay Packers on offensive line and defensive line.
The linebackers I thought played well this year. Edgerrin Cooper played well. Quay Walker, I feel like he played well.
Yes.
The linebacker room is feeling good. What about edge rusher at this point outside of Micah Parsons? There's a lot of people that believe they're probably going to move on from Rashawn Gary to save money this offseason. A lot of Rashawn Gary running and then pulling up and jogging on certain plays throughout this season, and really doesn't have a sack since the first half of the season when he got off to like 7.5 sacks to start the year. What is that all about in your mind?
You got to ask yourself, though, who's better? Who are you going to go out and get? Are you going to get rid of him and keep Van Ness?
Well, I don't know about that, but I think it becomes a situation of, is that an area of need that you got to go invest draft picks? Because I think you have to invest draft picks on defensive tackle. I think that has to happen. And I guess in cornerback has to be something you have to address too. So then it becomes, how important is the edge position outside of Micah Parsons? Does it matter as much?
Yes, it does. I mean, I always tell everybody, Spark, you know this, it starts up front.
Yep.
You got to take care of your front first. And that's both sides of the ball. And Micah Parsons, he can't do it all by himself. This defensive coordinator moves him up and down the line, okay, especially in pass rush situations. So then you got to have guys to back him up. Rashawn Gary's supposed to be backing him up. Van Ness is supposed to be backing him up. The interior guys are supposed to handle what's happening on the inside. But then again, people don't understand. You got to have an interior guy that's going to flush the rabbit out to these guys. That's why they bring Michael Parsons down in there. So if he gets a penetration on the inside, Van Ness and Gary should be sacking everything on the outside, or vice versa. You see what I'm saying? So it's dynamics to this game that people don't understand. But if you don't have the players to do that, then you just stuck in the mud.
What do you think of Jeff Hafley as a defensive coordinator?
I was surprised people were saying he's supposed to be a head coach somewhere. Dude only been here for what, 2 years?
Yep.
He got to bust a grape first. He got to bust a grape first, man. Going there 7th seed, all the doggone time, plus giving up all them points. Well, let's not say giving up all the points, but not holding the Bears to where we supposed to. Like, you sit there and you watch the game, okay, this is working. Why go to this? Okay, that ain't working. Go to this. So he got to understand that I don't even know how it works between the talent dude and him and they who they want, who they don't want. But if I was a defensive coordinator, I would be going to him saying, I need a guy for the inside. If you're going to get rid of one of these guys, I need a guy for the outside, and I need me a cornerback that's going to cover, period.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. He is the gravedigger, Gilbert Brown, Packer Hall of Famer. Follow him on X at Gilbert Brown. And you must go try the beer, Killer Kolsch, the gravedigger beer over at Torzala Brewing. But even though I'm not a big beer guy, I am a big bourbon guy. And J. Henry, Wisconsin straight bourbon whiskey, the gravedigger. Now, the brown stuff, that's where my heart lies, Gilbert Brown.
Man, the brown stuff is sold out, man. That's how good it is.
Really?
It is sold out. So I've been beating down Jay Henry door because they making me look bad now. Jay Henry, can anybody that's on this, listen to this, call Jay Henry and say, hey, man, you got Big G looking bad. Because everybody say, hey, man, where's that? And ain't nothing on the shelves because they all sold out.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously it's good if everybody's buying it. So, yeah. Maybe I'll make a call, Jay Henry. I'll see what I can get done for you, Gilbert. I'll do what I can.
Mark, you do something for your boy, man.
I'll try. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. The gravedigger, Gilbert Brown. Follow him on X at Gilbert Brown. He is amazing. Gilbert, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
You got it, brother.
Take care. There he is, Gilbert Brown on the guest hotline. Powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. Hey, don't forget, the biggest football Sunday of the year is happening coming up on February 8th. Where are you watching the game? If you want an unforgettable experience, head over to the Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. Watch the big game at 1100 Bar and Lounge, Rock and Brews Restaurant, or the Small Bar. Get a ticket to the Yingling Tailgate Party in the annex next to Potawatomi Sportsbook. Food and drink specials, including $20 Yingling pictures and $10 off the 100-ounce beer tube. Reserve premium seating inside the Potawatomi Sportsbook to go along with it. Tickets and reservations are available starting right now. Go online at Potawatomi.com to get your seat for the game coming up on February 8th. Everybody's going to be partying, regardless if your team's in it or not. Let's just be honest. Again, go online at Potawatomi.com to reserve your seat. Get your tickets today. Coming up next, before we get to Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz talk about their shows coming up this Brewer season, we'll do Things Sparky missed a segment early, and we'll tell you how we did on our prize picks lineup. All that coming up. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here. Charlie using over there. Prize Picks, baby. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard, but in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right with high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, elite hoops action almost every night. The action never, ever stops. And Prize Picks lets you take control. All we're doing is doing more or less on player stat projections that are set out there by Prize Picks. And all you need to know is download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5. Listen here. If you play $5 lineups, which is a standard play, I think, for most people, you play a $5 lineup and they give you 50 and you put in 5. That means for your $5, you can play 11 lineups for $5. Now, why wouldn't you download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY to take advantage of that? That's exactly what you should do at this point. You want flexibility like we do, because I tend to always get one wrong. You go Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, you go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Also, don't forget they offer stacks now. I mean, you can pick up the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So you can go like Giannis, blocks, rebounds, and points, more or less in each one of those categories. And you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. And we did a Prize Picks lineup at the end of last week. And let's go over what happened with our lineup last week. Because this here is something that I think for the most part, Charlie and I were feeling pretty good about going into this thing.
Yeah, I think so.
And I did not go Flex Play because Charlie was hammering me about gotta go Power Play. Caleb Williams, more than a half a passing yard. Or passing touchdown, 2. We're good. Jordan Love, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Charlie, I don't know about that one. He threw 4. Caleb Williams, more than a half a passing yard, 361. All good. If I went Flex Play, we win. Instead, I rolled with Fernando Mendoza in Indiana, who absolutely embarrassed their opponent, and it was more or less 212.5 yards passing. I went more. Of all those damn points, he only threw for 177. Got to be kidding me. So again, I went Power Play. I lost. If I would have went Flex Play like we normally do, if I wouldn't have been bullied by Charlie, we would have won that one.
Well, sometimes you just got to go for it, Sparky. And it's not his fault. Their defense kept giving them the ball at like the 2-yard line. He just got to throw touchdowns. That's crazy.
Hey, don't misinterpret this. I'm not mad at him, Charlie. I'm mad at you at this point.
That's not my fault. You still wouldn't do it. You're a grown man who can make your own decisions.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, lots of different things we could get to. We got Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz coming up to announce talk about their big shows, 2 new shows coming to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network during Brewer season coming up here shortly. But we got to play this.
9.6 to go. Frank's moving them up a little bit. Passive, I would think. It's to go. Undergrad. And Keogh free. No. Rebound tap in. No. Johnson. Zeros on the clock. Wisconsin with the upset. Wisconsin has beaten number 2 Michigan.
That's beautiful. Nobody talked about it today, I'm sure. But there has to be some love given to the Badgers and Greg Gard for shocking and upsetting the number 2 team in the country, Charlie.
You would think like nationally they'd get a little bit more buzz than this. Everything I saw about this game was about how bad Michigan might actually be compared to how good the Badgers might actually be. I don't think that's fair.
That's how it always goes. I mean, that's the Badger way, baby. That's how this always goes. You pull the shocker and they talk about how bad the other team is. If you're out in front and they upset you, then they talk about how bad you are. Right. That's how this always goes. But the coolest moment of this entire thing was after the game when John Blackwell and the Badgers were talking with Bill Rafferty after the game on CBS.
We're not quitters. We went down, lost a couple games early, but we didn't quit. We kept fighting, and that's what we are as a group. We're just fighters, and we're going to fight all day. And I told this group, let's be the villain of today. Let's come in here, let's be the villain.
God is good, too. God is great. Was it about beating Michigan or just getting back into the groove? Or both?
I think it was all about us. It was just about us coming in here, getting the win. We didn't worry who the opponent was. Obviously, Michigan, a great team, but we just came in here and we focused on what we need to do to get this win.
Maybe we can teach Nick how to turn the corner and be creative. What do you think?
Yeah, right? I'm trying. Some big fellas out there, but we got the
what does this mean to the program now?
Everything. I think this is the culture of Wisconsin. We're fighters. We come in here, this is a program thing, and we come in places and we play hard and we be physical with teams. So, hey, congrats to all these guys, scout team, everybody. Can't do it without all these guys with the staff and everything. It's everybody together got this win together.
A lot of guys were saying you couldn't make threes. What do you think now?
Where AB at?
Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck.
How cool is that? John Blackwell talk with Rafferty. Onions, baby. After that one, that was good stuff with Blackwell and those guys. Let's go to Brandon, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk text line. What's up, Brandon?
Yeah, man. I just want to talk about the Packers and
Brandon, are you on a speakerphone? I need you to get off that speakerphone.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, just get off the speakerphone. Otherwise, there's a huge echo like you're sitting on a toilet in a bathroom.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, so last week I went to the Minnesota game. I flew with the team. I was on plane with the team, media, doctors, players. We was on the bus with the players, all that. So what I saw the president, the GM, and the head coach move separately. To me, if policy or if the Packers do anything, they're probably going to fire both. That's if they do anything. That's what I felt on the trip.
Adam Schefter said this morning that they're in negotiations to extend LaFleur.
They are in negotiations, but I honestly, to me, I think if nothing's signed, I think what's going to happen is either both are going to be gone, or either both are going to be gone, or they're both going to stay. That's what's going to happen. They're probably both going to stay, obviously, because the vibe felt great. The team was great. It's just we're injured. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, from coming from the trip, I wouldn't fire neither one of them because the team they loved everything. The team was great. Everything is top notch with Green Bay and everything. But if from me being a fan and then doing that, I wouldn't want to fire no one. But if Ed Policy does make a decision, he's just not going to fire LaFleur. He's going to fire both.
The crazy thing about this, Brandon, thanks for the call, is this. Have you heard anybody say that Brian Gutekunst is getting extended? Has anybody brought up that he's going to extend Gutekunst? Everything's been about LaFleur. They both got just as long on their contract. So I tend to agree with Brandon that you would think they're both going to get extended. If LaFleur gets extended and Goody doesn't, that's weird. Like, just being honest, that's straight weird. Now, this also is something else that I wanted to bring up. On CBS Sports, last night, I think it was, and now I got to find it. We'll take one more call here. There was an article with different NFL executives talking about the situation with Matt LaFleur and Green Bay. And one of the executives kind of let his feelings be known as far as what he thinks of this situation. I'm going to see if I find it while we talk to Bill or John. And he pretty much said that it would be asinine to fire Matt LaFleur versus trading Matt LaFleur if you wanted to move on at this point. John and Franklin, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk text line. What's up, John?
Hey, brother. Sorry, I've been stuck working. I haven't been able to get to the phone here, but just briefly on the Packers, I know everyone thinks now that he's going to get extended because of this meeting or whatever, but and the problem, I understand everyone wants to put Gutekunst and him together, but I think Goody's done a far better job. We're not reviewing, obviously he missed on Van Ness and maybe Gary, because Gary, he was lazy coming out of college. We knew he took plays off. It was a lottery ticket. He was trying to scratch a lottery ticket. So yeah, he hasn't been perfect, but my God, he's done some good things. And my problem with LaFleur is I just don't feel he has command of this team. I don't think he has the leadership. I keep waiting when 3 or 4 of these games late in the season where we had leads and they just dissipated. It was like the momentum would just continually go the wrong way, Spark.
I understand your point, John, but I'm telling you, if you go back to the 3 o'clock hour, we have a poll. Apollo, an extension. Would you offer Matt LaFleur on X right now? 1, 2, or 3 years? And I played one after another clip of everybody praising LaFleur and wanting LaFleur and thinking LaFleur should be the coach of the Packers. I get the fans aren't in on this, but it does not feel like, to anybody that I have read or seen that's been in that locker room and all the audio from all these different players in the locker room, it feels like everybody is still brought in. Micah Parsons talked about the fact that was one of the reasons he came, was because of what he had heard about Matt LaFleur and how he loves LaFleur. He cares about his players and so forth, and he doesn't want to come here and then lose a great coach at the end of the day. So I don't think they've quit on him by any stretch of the imagination. Thanks for the call. I told you there was that quote from CBS Sports. NFC executive says yesterday, quote, firing him instead of trading him would be asinine. I just don't really know who you're hiring that's better if you're Green Bay, but certainly shouldn't pay him to work for someone else next year. I think if you go around the league and took a survey of people in front offices of how many of them would move on from Matt LaFleur, I bet you it's less than 5% of people in the National Football League that work in NFL front offices, owners, GMs, whatever, would agree that they should move on from Matt LaFleur.
And those couple of teams that would be willing to have Sean McVay, have a Kyle Shanahan,
or
have
better
coaches.
Or they want Matt LaFleur.
Right.
Right, exactly right. Charlie using over there, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer here. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up next, the franchise. Tim Allen is back, and we will talk with him. And don't forget, the only thing better than eating Wendy's is earning more Wendy's while I eat. Hello, Wendy's Rewards. The entire menu is up for grabs, too. Whatever food you order directly through the Wendy's app, Wendy's website, or at a restaurant counts. For every $1 you spend, you'll earn 10 points. You can place your order for pickup or delivery with the Wendy's app or website, and you're good. That's literally all you have to do. Mobile and website orders add reward points automatically. Done and done. It's the best and so easy, too. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Appreciate y'all for joining us today. And had a big announcement on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network earlier today at 11:30. And it involved this right here. That's right. That music only means one thing, and that means the franchise. Tim Allen is back on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And he, along with Tommy Wirtz, will be doing our Hot Stove Weekly show on Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. through March 25th. That starts this Wednesday, 2 days, and you get some Brewers conversation each and every week on Wednesday nights from 5 to 7. And then the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz as well after every Brewer game throughout the season to go along with Tommy Wirtz's leadoff show that he'll do before every game. So if you all thought you had a lot of Tommy Wirtz before, you just hold on a second, because I got more Tommy Wirtz coming for you. But Tim Allen, how's it feel to be back, my friend?
Well, I mean, we get to talk Brewers baseball again. It's great. And that's the thing I'm really pleased about, is that we as Brewer fans all have a place to hang out and commiserate at times, celebrate at times, get a little goofy at times, go on, I don't know, tirades at times.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, there's going to have to be some video on this.
Yes. We will stream live on X and on YouTube like we do our shows at WI Sports Radio. People can go back, listen to all the podcasts of all your shows as well. WI Sports Radio as well. So people will get to see your pretty face today.
Tim, I tried. I saw you one time. I said, do we have to do video? And they said, yeah, we're still doing it. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah,
it's really?
It's okay, though. I mean, it's not a big deal. Everybody will adjust. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So someone needs to hold my hand on that, because that's new to me.
Speaking of holding hands, I feel like there has to be somebody to kind of catch everybody up to speed here about the franchise, because obviously you haven't been here in a couple of years. You went off and worked somewhere else and did the show over there. But I feel like for those that don't know how old school Tim Allen rolled, let's talk about one Ricky Weeks.
Feel free to everybody sing along. Hey, Ricky, it's a crime. Yo, should have you riding fine. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Ricky, it's a crime. Yo, should have you riding fine. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Ricky.
I am a big fan of this Tim Allen. I need this Tim Allen back in my life. This is what I need back in my life, Tim Allen.
It depends on what's going on with this baseball team. And that's the thing. I and Sparky, you know this, that I've made a promise since year one in 2006 when we started the post-game show. I have to be and will be and promise to be a fan first. And then the broadcast comes in second. So a lot of times it'll be like, oh, man, I got a break again. What are we doing here? But I understand the business. I get it.
Right.
But I'm going to be a fan first. And a lot of times that emotional part of it, I absolutely cannot help. So, and, you know, a lot of people think that, and to a degree, they might be right in a lot of cases, that any broadcaster doing sports radio should be this unbiased professional opinion. I can't. I'm going to lean toward the Brewers.
Tommy, are you that unbiased professional opinion?
I would like to think that bias is one of the first words people think of when they think of me. So I'm hopeful that we're on the same page on that one, Tim.
Yeah, good, because we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Got some things in the hopper that we'll unveil a little bit later on during the 26th championship season. But again, just to catch people up, historically, they allowed the powers that be at that time in 2006 allowed us to do a post-game show. So, Stevie, you were involved, and in year number 2. So I did the first year, 06, on my own, and they didn't want to give us a chance. We had to really twist arms. So it was Tim and Sparky from like 07 to...
It's like over a decade.
Yeah, it had to be a good 9 years or so.
Yep.
And we were just a blast along the way, and live remotes and just rants and celebrations.
Toast to Yost, baby. We were drinking back then.
Well, because that was the transition from the 26-year playoff drought.
Yep.
And so what a celebration in 2008. I'll never forget that year. But Stevie went on to do more duties, and so then I took the show alone for a little bit, and then it was Tim and Billy for a while, our former colleague, Bill Schmid. And that was a good run. Tim and Billy, Tim and Sparky, and then it was Tim alone for a little bit, and then it was Tim and Pipe Bomb, and now here we are with Tim and Tommy.
So
I like the synergy of Timmy and Tommy.
Yeah, the alliteration play.
TNT, baby. TNT. I will say this. I have other stuff for you. Tim Allen, biggest Ryan Braun fan ever. And then the PED scandal happened. And Tim and I fought a lot because Tim defended Ryan Braun. I was done with Ryan Braun. And then this happened.
Ryan Braun, why you punish me? There's no more MVP. Help wash away our tears. Ryan Braun, help us understand. You're not filling half the stands. We'll have to drink more beer. Your payroll for tomorrow brings us all some pain and sorrow because of PEDs. But tomorrow there's another game. We're hoping that you're fine.
Come on, I don't even remember that.
Tomorrow there's another game. Ryan, we're hoping that you shine.
Oh my God.
Ryan Braun, why you punish me?
Jeez, I don't even remember doing it.
Okay, I got one last one. Now, I will say this rant right here was the rant that Tim Allen was known for quite some time. Back in the day, when people would get mad at this team and be like, dude, they're done. It's over. Like, we would have the done club is what we would call it. And people would be like, I'm in the done club. I'm out. Well, Tim Allen one night after the show was done and was getting ready to do his game raps, which he loved doing, and his promos, Tim Allen snapped.
People are damn mother idiots. Oh, we're done. We lost another game. We're done. Everybody's done. Well, shut the fucking TV off, turn the radio off, and crawl into your cocoon and be by yourself and cry shaking naked in the fetal. That'll make it all better. Done. Nobody's done. Houston's not done. Philly's not done. The Brewers are up. They're up in the race. Oh, we're done. Yeah. All right, go over to Potawatomi, sit down at the craps table, and bust a hondo. And then while you're breaking the $100 bill, say, you know what? I'm done. I'm never going to win nothing. As you slide your chips away. Wonderful. All right, happy promo time.
There you go. The franchise.
That one was the infamous shaking naked in the field.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that one caught some ears, but see to that point,
Tommy Wirtz, you are going to have a blast, my friend.
I'm gonna re-up on some of my petty covers that I've done over the years. I'm gonna have to double down on that, I guess.
I just can't control it at times, and I don't want that. Although at the same time, and I love the Brewers, I love to broadcast. At the same time, I don't want me losing emotional control as lowering credibility. So, I mean, it just goes with the territory. If we want to just spin numbers for an hour and a half or two every night after the game,
boring.
Oh my gosh, I can't. I just my head spins on that stuff. Let's talk about being fans of the Brewers. Now, if we want to get into some numbers where it's appropriate. Absolutely, and we will. When we look at some of the numbers, Bryce Terang and Sal Frelick, and is he a leadoff hitter and all those things, But man, I'm super pleased that this run can continue. As I said this morning, fellas, that any job, 20 years at any one job. I don't care if you're driving truck or working accounting or finance or whatever it is. 20 years at one place is quite the accomplishment. And we go into our third decade. I feel like some of these old rock and rollers, like, when you start adding up decades instead of years, I'm just blessed and I'm humbled by all the feedback. I really am.
The Stones are more expensive now than they ever have been, Tim.
That's true.
All right? So I think I echo it with Tim Allen. You're not going to want to listen anywhere else if you are a Brewers fan. Nope. This is the station, the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, Brewers coverage all 2026. No one else going to be doing more and doing better than us.
That's awesome. Hot Stove Weekly starts Wednesday night, 5 to 7. It's going to be a blast, Tim. Thank you so much.
You got it. See you guys.
There he is, the franchise Tim Allen. My thanks to Tommy Wirtz. Catch more of him coming up next. Wisconsin Sports wrap-up of an unbelievable day after the Packers lose to the Bears on Saturday. Hear the best of it from 5 until 6 coming up next here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. That'll do it for us today. If you missed Mike Wahle, Peter Buksowski, the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown, all available at wisportsradio.com or on YouTube, whatever the case may be. Enjoy the rest of your night, Wisconsin. Have a good one. Toodles.